legitimately working on, where I'm playing a jazz like up tempo sort of beat going on, and I pretend like I'm on stage super relaxed and casual, and I pull out a trumpet and kazoo, and I play this instead of an actual trumpet playing. That is a bit that I was working on.
I genuinely thought that was drug paraphernalia. It just looks.
Oh yeah, it looks very druggy. Terrible. It's really weird. It's literally like a dish specifically that you could just put little. You could just like sprinkle everything on right into there.
I mean, it's perfect.
It's like perfect. But you know, it's wild. These things work. It's like.
Well, I would hope so.
They don't do anything, but
they
work.
don't. They just got like little springs and shit.
It's just springs to make it look like I'm actually playing the trumpet.
Womp womp. Oh boy. Oh man. Apologies ahead of time for my voice. I was in San Francisco all week at a conference, and it's gone. It's gone. I was telling Tab before we started, like by Wednesday, I was already losing it a little bit, and then on Thursday it was just dust. Nothing.
Dust.
It was bad.
Dust in the wind, huh?
It was so bad. It's still like yesterday. I'd never done this before. I took a swig of Manuka honey, and holy shit, it's disgusting. But man, the pipes came back quick.
That stuff works.
I was just belting some Adele, just crushing it. That's a telltale. That's a telltale sign. That's beautiful. Get it.
Rolling in the deep.
Yes. Whew.
You had my heart inside of your hands.
Take it.
And you paid it.
What?
The beat.
Oh, what? That's beautiful.
Yeah,
bring that kazoo in. Bring that fucking kazoo in. Yeah. Yes.
It's so easy to play these things. You just gotta hum whatever version you're playing.
Fucking beautiful. Oh boy. Yes.
That was Stairway to Heaven.
That was not. It was really not. But it was close. Damn close. Hey, Tad.
Hey, Jay.
How you doing, bud? Missed you on the last episode.
I know.
What'd you think of that title, Golden Tank Warriors?
It was good.
That was.
I haven't listened to the episode yet. I listen to all of our episodes. Like especially like I like listening to the ones that I'm on because I like to. No, I like to see like sometimes I feel like I take a long time to make my points and I like say it like I use a lot of fillers, so I try to avoid doing that and make it better. But then I also like listening to the ones without me because it feels like I'm listening to a different podcast.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Nikki and I are not very we're not argumentative, you know. We're just
no
very brotherly. Well, shit, guys.
I have to be the voice of reason to you guys.
So he says, hey, listeners, welcome back. This is MBA, episode 110. I want to sincerely apologize for the delay. We had some scheduling conflicts, some travel, a lot of shit going on the last couple, some illnesses, some voices lost, as you heard previously, mine and Tad's. Just a lot of shit happened over the last couple of weeks. I want to apologize. Again, remember, this is not our full-time job. We do this for fun. And I hope you guys enjoy the fun that we have, but we are back. Chances are next week's episode will probably be delayed again because it's Thanksgiving here in the States, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. I ain't worried about it. If we got to do another Sunday episode, we'll see what happens. Anyways, I am your host, Jay Keeles, coming to you, returning from the city by the bay. I punched Steph Curry in the face at the fucking yard sale he was at, you idiot. He was trying to haggle for a fucking Hot Wheels set, you jerk.
Pay full price. You're rich.
Don't believe that happened.
Did it?
Don't.
Actually, real talk, Steph. I was at Dreamforce for the listeners who are in the tech industry. I was at Dreamforce, which is Salesforce's conference, and Aisha and Steph had a panel. They were speaking at Dreamforce this year, as was Obama.
Did you go?
I did not. Our CMO was a crack in the whip a little bit, so we were at the booth doing our jobs real hard.
Like almost like it's almost like we're a real company now, and we have to do that. weird.
You're like paid to do things. It's wild.
It's fine. It's cool. I got free food out of it, so I'm good with it.
Nice.
I always love that get paid comment, Nikki. There's a tweet that somebody tweeted out once upon a time, and like it gets posted on Instagram all the time, but it's like the screenshot does. It's like, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for money? And somebody replied, work 40 hours.
I love that. That's good.
Very
it's like
true.
that Key and Peele sketch where they're like gonna rob the bank, and he's like, here's the thing. We go in, we fill out an application. we work at a bank. They pay us every week. And after 40 years, we just walk out like nothing happened. It's like, man, that's a job. You're talking about a job.
Those guys are so great, man. I love them so much.
So there was a one of the hills right next to my job caught on fire, where like the fire helicopters had to show up and fucking put sand on it.
Things.
Yeah, hashtag just California things. No. But legitimately, I open the door. I'm at work. I open the door. I look out the window. Everything is black or gray, and I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then I was like, "Whoa, that very, 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 very close mountain is on fire." And everyone's like, "Oh yeah." They're literally, what one of my coworkers says is, "Don't worry about that one. That one catches fire every year." And I was like, "That's a problem. That's not a don't worry about it thing." He was like, No. He's like, "It's not close enough." And I was like, "I know where that is. I know the building that's next to that mountain. Like, that's like a 20-minute walk."
I'm worried about those people. Like, the people below the mountain.
They all don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah, LA's just super chill, dude. Be chill, okay?
Sort of like in a sort of related note, like where like the Californians and the Southern Californians like fire, they're just like, oh yep, shit. That on Friday, my cousin who lives in Cleveland, former friend and former guest on the podcast, Curtis, he met me over near our office, and we went to get on the red line. The red line was shut down, and like literally. People were talking. It was like, oh yeah, it shut down. Some guy robbed a bank, so they're like, they think he might have like, run down into the tunnels or something. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like somebody, I'm like, Curtis is like, what happened? I'm like, oh, somebody, they said somebody robbed a bank, and he's like, he lived here for 6 years, and he's like, fuck, man. And I'm like, they should just run the trains. What's the risk? Oh, we ran over the scumbag criminal. Oh no.
That's just practical. The way I'm hearing it, that's just practical. Well, should we continue with the introductions? Also here in Chicago, my friend, my coworker, introduce yourself.
Friends?
Best buddies, dude. Best buddies.
I'm actually I'm offended.
I apologize.
Okay.
Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. I hope you had a good Friendsgiving without us. But go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I did. I did. It was like the whitest thing you've ever seen too. It's just all white people. It was like a J. Crew ad.
Shocker.
It's like it literally is like the J. Crew Winter 2018 catalog in that place. I am also wearing a Patagonia right now with.
I mean, and
wool socks.
If the shoe fits.
Look, I don't try to pretend to be anything else. You know what I'm saying?
I respect it. Authenticity. That's what this podcast is all about. Authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, it's your boy Tad,
sure.
AKA shit, I don't know, Barack Mobamba. Let's go back to the well on that one.
Ooh, West Coast gentleman, can you introduce yourself? And then I have a fun game I'd like to play.
I'm Nicky Quiles, a.k.a. Hollywood Nicky, a.k.a. Rudy Go Berries and Cream.
Very nice. That's good. That's good.
I don't like that one.
Yours was Barack
Mobamba.
Yeah, I didn't say mine was good, but I usually bank on Nikki to carry that. Like I give a shitty one. Hey, I had Aaron Gordon Blue, which was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That I respect. That was a good one. Now
I've had some decent ones. It's
let's
Ray J.
That's good. Let's test out the chops though. As I mentioned earlier, Thanksgiving is next week. Or this week, by the time you listen to this episode. So I want to do some Thanksgiving NBA player pun names. Who's going to kick it off? Let's see. Okay, hold on. Fuck. Strawberries baseball. Never mind.
Daryl Strawberry?
You can't just talk Daryl Strawberry.
Brent Cranberry sauce.
Brent
Rick Cranberry sauce.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Okay, hold on. Come on. I have foods on my head.
We did this last year, and I had a really good one, and I can't remember. I can't remember what it was, but it was a good one. I had a good one. I can't remember what it was.
Gerald green bean casserole.
Nice.
Let's go.
I was gonna. Oh, go ahead.
Tim Pumpkin.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
I don't know if what?
Instead of Tim Duncan.
Tim
Pumpkin.
No.
Come on, son.
Or Tim Duncan Pie.
Nice, very nice.
Good.
That's good. Let's go. Okay.
I'm gonna be the only one with.
Jamal burn potatoes. Mashed burned potatoes. I crushed it. Boom.
I mean, it's better than anything that I've offered.
Okay. Oh, come on. I'm trying to come up with one for stuffing. That one's hard.
Yeah, I was trying to think of one for stuffing too.
Oh my God, he played for the Bulls. Oh fucking Christ! I was gonna try to rhyme stuffing with Ruffin. David Stuffin.
Couldn't you just go Michael Stuffin?
Michael Stuffin. Yeah, Michael Bread.
Michael Bread. Yeah, Michael Bread.
Sean Bradley.
Nice. There he is. Biz Mac and Cheese Biombo.
There you go.
All right. Now we got to try to find some like authentic Thanksgiving food so we can just like slide right in there.
I was trying to think of somebody with like rolls, like yeah.
Yeah.
There's gotta be
Andre Kira link rolls.
Nice. That's great. I love that. That's gotta okay.
I like that. That's a good one.
Okay, one of us has to fucking get gravy. This is kind of embarrassing. We gotta get gravy. Come on.
Gravy.
St. Allen.
Gravy St. Allen. Who?
Grayson Allen. Gravy St. Allen.
Oh, Gravy's. Okay. I was
Gravy St. Okay, I get it.
What?
Yep.
I was like,
Gravy
what?
St. Allen.
Hold on. Oh my God, there's got to be one gravy. I want to get a gravy one. Oh, come on. I was gonna say Gravy Clarkson. That's terrible.
Tracy McGravy.
Yes. Okay, that's it. No more. That's great. I had one. Go.
Sam Casserole.
Okay, that's good. Okay, and now we're done.
Sam Casella roll.
That's nice. Very nice. And with that, we're done. All right, guys, let's start the episode for reals. By the way, this is the podcast that tries to talk about NBA shit, but mostly we just talk shit like Thanksgiving puns for basketball players. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but Sam Cassell once played for and coached next to Doc Rivers. I'm a pro. Okay. Now, some of these stories are going to be a little dated. You guys are going to have to forgive us. We're just trying to cover all the bases from when we last recorded. So Doc Rivers was fined $50,000, more than many people's salaries, many people's salaries for improperly reporting Kawhi Leonard's injuries and basically giving him rest a la load management. So, guys, couple questions for you. Question number one, in your opinion, should Doc Rivers be the one that is fined for this? Ooh, excuse me. For this transgression?
Yes.
Okay. Hard.
I don't think
solid
so.
Yes. Okay, Nikki, Tad, fight.
Nikki, I'll let you go.
I think that it should be Kawhi who gets the fine because he's the one who's not playing. They're pretty much like Doc Rivers has to give a reason to why he's not playing, and he can't say like, "Oh, because he doesn't want to play." Like he can't do that.
That's an interesting take. I haven't heard many people take that side of like, because the reality is like many of these
Kawhi
players
doesn't want to play.
Well, it's not that he doesn't want to, but as a part of, like, many of these players have like load management kind of like built into their contracts now in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Like they kind of like run the gamut on that. And I haven't heard many people say, why aren't the players to some extent on the hook for this load management fine?
See, I think that's a fine point, but also Doc Rivers is the coach and the GM of that team.
Not anymore. Mm-mm.
Wait,
No,
they hired GM?
Jerry West took over.
Oh,
Jerry
that's
West
right. I did forget
and
about that.
Frank, what's his face?
Yeah, no.
Frank
You are right.
Reynolds.
No, he's not Frank Reynolds.
No.
So anyway, I started blasting.
Lawrence Frank.
Yeah. No, I kind of forgot about that, so that's on me. But I still like the thing is like Doc Rivers is the coach. I think it's better off if you find the organization. Because I don't think Doc Rivers gets to make that call by himself.
I mean, he does. He does make the lineups.
True,
He does have to write up if there are injuries. They have to properly report them, and load management does not count as an injury diagnosis. 100%.
Sir Charles had a great point about this.
Well, and this gives me to my next question, which is yay or nay load management.
Nay.
Not a fan.
So this seems to be the theme of the last couple episodes. I want to play devil's advocate because I do agree. I don't love the whole load management thing. However, I understand it. And there's a strong case to be made that the Toronto Raptors don't win the NBA championship last year if Kawhi didn't have his load managed. Because he had come I was hoping you fucking children.
I'll be Kawhi Leonard's professional load manager for a few $100,000 a year.
Yeah. I can manage a load or two if need be.
Everybody's got a price.
Oh, I love it. But no, you fuckers. God damn it. The NBA podcast that tries to talk about NBA shit, mostly we just talk shit.
We mostly just talk about loads.
You know what to expect.
Just loads and loads of loads talk.
Just managing all the loads. Taking on the loads. Taking in the loads. All the loads. We'll have them.
Here's the thing. Okay, I agree with you to an extent because you are right that they wouldn't have necessarily won a championship if they hadn't managed his health and the time that he was on the floor and all that, and that's totally valid. I totally get it, and ideally long-term health of your players, all that stuff, a very valid argument. My biggest problem is that the NBA exists strictly for entertainment, and I as a fan do not want to spend $100 to $200 on tickets and food and all that shit, and then go to a game and be like, well, nobody I actually want to play is watch. They're not playing because they're load. That's bullshit. It's bad for the fan. It's bad for the product. It's stupid. That's why I'm all for player health and all that stuff. But just to sit the guy, just be he doesn't actually have an injury. There's nothing that you're worried about. You're just sitting him to make sure he doesn't get hurt so you have him for the playoffs. Dude, fuck that. If I'm going to a game, if I'm here in Chicago and the Lakers are in town, and I buy tickets to see the Lakers, and I get some bullshit that fucking AD and LeBron are sitting out because of, quote, load management, I'm going to be fucking pissed off. I want my money back. I want the league to reimburse me, or the Bulls, or not the Bulls, the Lakers to reimburse me for my ticket because I came to watch – I'm certainly not there to watch the Bulls.
Excuse me, Zach LaVine dropped 49 points last night and tied the NBA record for 3-pointers in a game. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was amazing. Great. Good for him, but I don't give two fucks about the Bulls. I want to watch LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's why I'm going to the Lakers Bulls game. It's like that fucking Ari Gold quote when he's like, I didn't go to the Lakers game because they were playing the fucking Bobcats. I'm not going. If I'm going to a Bulls game, it's to watch the other team. Straight up. I live in Chicago. I'm not a Bulls fan. I go to the Bulls are not particularly good. In fact, they're really, really bad. And yes, he had 49 points against the Charlotte fucking Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets been fine. We move on.
They had the same exact record as the Bulls now.
Yeah,
I don't think they're that good.
I would argue that they've been better than the Bulls, but
My point is, though,
I would
if
say
I'm
both
going,
teams
if
are
I'm going to see
5-11.
like James Harden or Steph Curry or Kawhi Leonard, or I want to watch LeBron, or and then I go to the game and they're not playing because of some BS load management. Like, fuck that. Like, that's why I'm there. I'm there to watch those. Those are the players I'm there to watch. I'm not going to a Clippers game to watch fucking Pat Beverly flop all over the floor and pretend to play defense.
He doesn't pretend. Okay, he's a fucking pit bull.
Ask Russell Westbrook. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He tricked y'all, man.
Anyways, I also agree. Overall, I would say nay on load management, but with the caveat that I definitely understand it. And like, look,
yeah, I understand it.
If I'm a Raptors fan, I got what I wanted. Like, I don't watch the NBA season. Here's the thing. With to Tad's point, I completely agree. Like, one of the saddest moments of my life was when I paid good money to go see the Clippers and Rockets back in the day when like it was the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Clippers versus the James Harden second year of Dwight Houston Rockets, and Blake Griffin was out and fucking Chris Paul was out. And that sucked. That sucked. Now, Blake Griffin was injured, so not my problem. I mean, not an issue, but I mean, you know, in any case, but Chris Paul was like taking a night off. I was just like, fuck, dude, I flew all the way to LA to watch this game, and here I am, and I couldn't see anybody. And that sucks. But as a fan of an NBA team, if I'm a Raptors fan last year, yeah, you want to see Kawhi play as much as possible. But at the end of the day, I got what I wanted. That's a championship. And as a fan, like,
of that specific team, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The other team lost out every time he took out a game off.
And honestly, it's if you're a fan, if you are a big time fan of that team, like the three of us sitting here watching, doing this podcast. Yeah, like we're like, I get it. Like, you know, if the Magic are like making a playoff run and they shut, you know, Jonathan Isaac down for like a couple weeks because he's had some health problems, like I'm like, yeah, totally, I get it. Like I even was on the Magic subreddit the other night and like they were talking about Isaac maybe coming back for that Raptors game, and I commented on there and was like, I'd rather he sit out like this game because they're like, he's a game time decision, and I'm like, I'd rather them sit him out. But that's also because he has a legitimate injury.
Right,
but
that's the difference.
The casual fan who's tuning in on TV, who is buying tickets to take their family to like an NBA game, maybe they go once a year or something like that, they're going to see those players. Like they're going to see that, you know, they don't, you know. I once went to a Clippers game in LA. When they were still pretty bad. It was before they had Chris Paul, but they had Blake Griffin. And like I watched them play the Thunder. I saw KD. I saw Russell Westbrook. I saw, you know, Blake Griffin. It was really dope. Like if those guys were sitting out, like I wasn't paying money to go to the Staples Center to watch Randy fucking Foye. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I get you.
I like Randy.
Yeah, everybody knows that. No, I agree. And I would also say to Tad's point, like, adjacently to Tad's point, the thing is like only certain teams have the luxury of being able to do this. Like a lot of teams don't have the luxury of sitting a Kawhi for as many games as they do, because if they do, they're not making the playoffs.
They don't win. Yeah.
Your big dogs have to play or you're not playing during the summer. Like it's just not happening. So I think this is one of those things where it's like the rich keep getting richer because they have the luxury of being able to, you know, sit their guys and have them take rest. And like, frankly, the Clippers kind of took a huge risk by doing this now. And we'll talk about this here in a couple minutes, but like PG's back. So now you can kind of load manage both of them, which is kind of this beautiful situation to be in. But again, only very fortunate teams have the ability to really do load management, unless you're like full on tanking, unless you're full on tanking.
Yeah. It's a little too early to full on tank yet. Because, like, the Lakers can't do this. Because if you sit one of those two guys, that team struggles.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
They're playing so well because both of those guys are playing so well.
Or, like, last year, like, Toronto could only do it because they had Pascal and they had Kyle Lowry. Like, otherwise, you can't do that.
No.
You know?
You can't.
In any case, let's talk about let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is man, guys, my pick for most improved player this year, he's not done, but he's out for a while. And it's had so if you guys listen to the preview podcast, you know that I picked Gordon Hayward to win most improved player of the year. He just fit all the qualifications that I was looking for. Unfortunately, he did break his hand, and he will be out 4 to 6 weeks. It is a left hand fracture, which gives me a little bit more hope in him being able to come back and kind of continue to hit that stride, as opposed to his dominant shooting hand. Pardon me. But it sucks because he was really playing really well for a good stretch there. I mean, he had the one game where he scored like 31 points and was like 13 for 14 from the field. Like, I mean, if you look at his numbers here, 19,
he's
7,
having
and
like
4,
a career year.
great year.
Yeah.
Like really great numbers for a good Celtics team, and it just bummed the fuck out of me. Now, when I put this on the rundown, the Celtics weren't where they are now. They're currently the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So it doesn't seem to have gotten them. The other night, they had 3 guys that scored 19 or more in Hayward, in Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and pardon me. They have 3 guys currently averaging 19 points. That's what I meant to say. In Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Like,
that's Mr. Funky Jaylen Brown.
Thank you. So they clearly haven't lost a step despite Gordon Hayward's injury. But I did want to pose the question, like, A, do you foresee him making a comeback? And B, is this going to derail the Celtics season in the long term? I mean, 4 to 6 weeks is a decent amount of time.
No. In the long term, no. He'll come back.
Yeah, long term, I don't think so. I think he'll be okay when he comes back. It won't be as bad of an injury since, like you said, it's his left hand, it's not a shooting hand. He probably won't be able to do as much dribbling at first, but he doesn't need to on that team.
Yeah. Well, he does do a lot of the playmaking, though.
Affect him.
He really does a lot of the playmaking for them. Like,
yeah,
he is a much better distributor than Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown.
Which is valid.
Yeah. But they got Kemba.
Is Gordon Hayward soft? Because, like, I feel like Kobe would play with a fractured hand.
Kobe's a fucking.
He's also a certified lunatic. So,
right.
You know,
Thank you.
Thank you. Crazy.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I put this topic on the agenda a couple weeks ago. Since then, the Celtics have been playing really well. So my original point is kind of bunked. But
I would have argued the same thing though. Like, I don't think it's a huge, like, they've got literally two guys that can play at or above this level. I mean, like, I agree with your point that Gordon Hayward's a playmaker and he's a better distributor than both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But either way, like, your game plan probably changes a little bit because you know you have him and you can't put the ball in his hands in certain situations. But at the same time, they still have an obscenely talented roster. They're still really, really good, and they've obviously proven that since he got hurt. They've been playing really good basketball. So no, I'm not worried. Yeah,
I maintain that I'm still a little worried about their rebounding abilities. That does concern me a little bit.
I don't think they're contenders, but I mean, I think they're a good team.
Man, but I said it. I tell you what, man. Like 3 guys scoring 19 points a game. Like I was concerned at the type of season that Jaylen Brown was going to have this year. Now, I will say this: Gordon Hayward being down definitely leads to Jaylen Brown's scoring going up. But here's the thing: if Gordon Hayward's playing right now, you got 4 guys scoring 19 points a game. Like,
yep.
Everybody was concerned about how the wealth being distributed across the entirety of this team. This team is really well set up. The only concern that I have is, like, they're not big in the front court, and they will get dominated on the boards very consistently by a team in the Philadelphia 76ers who, I will say this, they've been trending in the wrong direction. They got off to a really good start, and they have.
Hey, Ben Simmons hit a 3-pointer the other night.
Let's go!
It happened.
Changing his career forever. No, but
congratulations, Philadelphia.
They've definitely been on the downswing. Actually, I'm interested to pull up their numbers here. Let's take a look.
I think they're, I want to say 10-5.
Yeah, they've been on a downswing. It's been it hasn't been great for them. We weren't necessarily going to talk about this. This wasn't on the rundown, but look, they're still 5th in the
11-5.
Yeah, they're still 5th in the Eastern Conference, but they were solidly at the top there and have definitely after they went like 7-0. They've definitely had a bit of a rocky go at it over the last couple of weeks, but
the saddest part about the Eastern Conference, though, is that, like, there's legitimately, I mean, like, I don't foresee some of these teams getting back in it, but, like, the teams that are on the bottom and, like, the outside looking in, like, if the playoffs were to start today, like, all have a legitimate shot. Like, Orlando's 6-9 and they're the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, look, we can talk all the shit we want about Chicago, but, like, if they figure it out and have, like, a nice second half run, like we could make the playoffs still. You shut your fucking mouth.
I'm sorry. Can I ask you? I just want to ask you one question about that.
Sure.
In this scenario where you guys somehow make the playoffs, is Jim Boylan your head coach?
Yes.
Hopefully not.
Okay, then
Yes.
no, not happening.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
I do know that. I know that because Zach LaVine scored 49 last night, and Jim Boylan went to congratulate him, and like the players were like pulling him away from him and like mean mugging Jim Boylan.
It wasn't good. He did sit him. He did sit him.
Zach LaVine scored 49 points to spite Jim Boylan.
Yeah, I was say Zach LaVine scored 49 in spite of his coach. That's not a good way to boost morale.
I'm good with it. All right, let's move on to the next topic here, guys. The next topic is, so we've all partaken in the cannabis leaf from time to time over our lives.
I did just last night.
Just last night. I did on Monday actually. With one of the somebody in my company that's a little bit higher up than me. In any case, doesn't matter. I'm not name dropping anyways. No, he's not gonna listen. Or she, who knows? In any case,
Wait, hold on.
We'll talk after. We'll talk after. In any case, guys, Dion Waiters took a little too many edibles on the plane on the way back home from an away game and had a full-on panic attack that required the Miami Heat to pull the plane over, I guess, land a little prematurely. And they have since fined him and suspended him for conduct detrimental to the team. Listen, we've all been there. Am I right? We've all had a weird trip. I would like to start this topic by saying, let's all talk about our most terrible weed-related activities.
Oh, can I go first?
Please.
Go for it.
Okay, I have a good one. I like sharing this story sometimes. Okay, so in college, me and 3 of my buddies decided to make a batch of weed brownies, and we were going to watch a movie. So we made the weed brownies, and we all ate one. And we were sitting there waiting. We're watching this movie, and we're like kind of waiting for them to kick in. And about 45 minutes to an hour goes by and like nothing. And it's like, okay, well, like sometimes you got to wait. Sometimes edibles, they take a long time to kick in. So we decided we'll eat a little bit more. So we all eat just a little bit more.
Ooh.
Always a mistake.
Hold on. Let me finish. About another half hour goes by. Nothing. So my 2 friends are like, all right, fuck this. We're going home. I was over at my buddy's place and we live not far from each other. So like, I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll hang out, watch the end of this movie. So we're like watching the movie and my buddy Brad goes into the kitchen. He comes back and he brings in the pan of brownies. He's like, we might as well just fucking eat these things. Like they're pretty good. So we're watching the movie. We're eating this like pan of brownies. We ate the whole pan.
Oh my God.
Well, the remainder of the pan. And so the movie ends. I hop on my moped and I drive back to my apartment. And I go outside. I'm on the balcony of my apartment. I'm smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden, it just hits me.
Oh no!
And I literally said out loud to no one, "Oh no!" And I tried to turn around and go back into my apartment. My arms and legs felt like they were made of like cement. I was like trying to like pick my feet up to walk in. So I finally got inside and I sat on my couch and I literally was just sitting like this, like my arms like on the couch, like sitting straight up, like just staring straight ahead at our TV. And I like felt like I was like I've become like melded into the couch. And one of my roommates comes out of his room, and he's like, "Hey, man, hey." He's like, "What are you doing? Watching the TV? TV's not on." "Yep, watching the TV." Literally, like, could barely speak. Felt like I weighed 1,000 pounds. I see my phone light up, and I like literally, I probably like reached like this, grab my phone and I look at it, and it's like it's sort of gibberish. From my friend who I ate the pan of brownies with, and he goes, "We fucked up."
Oh my god, that's great.
That's mine.
That's great. Nikki, you got one?
Jay, you can go ahead.
Okay, I got
I was
one.
about to say you can go ahead. Yeah,
I got one. So my sophomore year of college, I had a couple buddies, and we used to partake pretty frequently, and that was like my first like real foray into. I didn't really do it in high school, but in any case, there was this one night that I had a little too much. My tolerance has always been pretty low, but there was one night where I was just like,
same.
We were at a party. There were some girls, and I was just like, I'm into it. She's into it. So let's fucking run it. Had a little too much. So at one point, I'm sitting in the back seat, and I bit myself on the cheek, which many people know is the worst thing you could do. We had gotten some fries. I was eating. I bit my cheek, and it hurt so badly, and I immediately tasted blood. So in my stupor, I had convinced myself that I was bleeding so profusely that I was going to die. And that was the narrative that was going on in my head, that I was bleeding so profusely that if I opened my mouth, the blood would rush out and I would cease to exist. I convinced myself of this narrative.
Like fucking Indiana Jones when the guy's like body just like this.
That's basically
his
what
face
it
is just melting.
It was so bad. So anyways, for the next like 2 hours, I just let the saliva build up in my mouth and refused to open my mouth for fear that I had convinced myself that the viscosity of my saliva was in fact blood pooling in my mouth. And I didn't talk for like a solid 2 hours because I thought I was going to die. I thought I put myself so hard that I was going to die from a cheek bite. So that's my story.
R.I.P. T's and P's.
It was bad. It was bad. Not my brightest moment. Nikki,
hilarious.
What you got?
Mine's interesting enough because the anniversary is coming up in
the anniversary.
No, the anniversary is happening. It was a few years ago, 2 days before Thanksgiving, which I believe was the 24th, like it is today. So I think today's the anniversary of this actually happening
on a night just like tonight.
And I'm like, nothing like tonight. It's like 70 degrees out. It was much colder back in Chicago back then. Hilariously enough, my now roommate Bob texted me. He had tickets to a Johnny Marr concert. Johnny Marr is the guitarist for the band The Smiths. He also had solo work. Bob was like, hey, the person I was supposed to go with didn't show up. You want to go with? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And he was like, you want to get some food beforehand? And I was like, perfect, because I have edibles to eat, and I need to wash that down with fatty foods.
Of course.
And I took a firecracker that our buddy Griffin made. Griffin, Bob must hear me talking because he just texted me that Johnny Marr also wrote all the music for that. Morris, who wrote all of their music. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Great
I'm telling your favorite story.
Oh, this is good.
And so I took one of Griffin's firecrackers, which I did not know at the time. Griffin likes to take them and make them very strong. So you don't take a quarter, you take a half of a quarter. So an eighth. You take an eighth of the whole thing that he gives you. Did not know that. I took a quarter. What's up, Dion? I took a quarter. The first 2.5 hours, I felt nothing. Bob and I went to a place known in Chicago called Cheesy's.
Oh, love Cheesy's.
Cheesy's is the best. They make grilled cheese sandwiches. I got a tenderizer. I'll never forget this. I got a tenderizer, and I got the Boulder Brewery Shake Chocolate Stout. Very, very good drink. I remember that very well because I forever wanted to know where that beer was afterwards. And I had that. Then I started feeling it very slightly. And I was like, well, this must have been a dud. Oh, well, we go to the concert. We're at the concert. There's some random lady who's starting. It's just a woman, white girl, dreadlocks, blonde dreadlocks, sundress, no shoes, middle of November.
Sign me up.
She's just like, oh, yeah, the last time Johnny and I was here, we had a blast, and I just love Chicago. It's such a great city. And I'm staring at her just thinking to myself, yo, this chick is high as hell. Like, she looked gone. She said, and I quote, I'm going to tickle the twines for you now. And she hit one thing on that string, and I felt the sound waves go through my entire body. And I turned to Bob, and I was like, Bob, I am too high. And he was like, oh, did you have one of the edible? I was like, yes. And he was like, oh, I talked to Mike and Will about that. You should have only had an eighth. And I was like, I had a quarter. And he was like, oh, you fucked up. So I asked for the keys to his car because I wanted to leave. He was like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm just going to sit in the car. He was like, okay. Before I wanted to sit in the car, I wanted some water. I went to Clark's, which is over on Belmont, because we were at the Vic.
Okay.
I sit down. I am sweating profusely. I am freaking out. And this glorious gay angel comes up to me, and he puts his hand – I am not lying. He puts his hand on the table, his other hand on his hip, and goes, you tell me what you had and how much. And I was like, I had an edible, and I'm just way too high. I just kind of really want some water. And he was like, I will be right back. Comes back, gives me my water, takes my menu, leaves. And I'm like, thank God. Just drinking the water. He comes up a second time. He drops a fucking burger with chorizo on it, hashed browns, and a vanilla milkshake. And he just goes, you let me know when you want to go home. And I was just like, thank you, you beautiful angel.
What the fuck?
I finish up.
Oh.
I look at the time. I realized Bob's car was in a towaway zone at this point in time. I walk over to his car. I get in the car, and I drive right next to the Vic, right to the side, just ready. I text Bob, hey, dude, I moved the car over. I'm going to crash here until the end of the concert. And Bob, very, very shitty quality, calls me up and is like, everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just moved your car. And he's like, is everything okay with the car? And I was like, yeah. I only moved to the block. And he was like, yes, but I saw you walk out this building. I saw what your face looked like. And I was like, yeah, dude, I've got a story to tell you because someone else saw my face and he came and saved my ass.
What an angel.
That is my story of getting way too high.
What an angel. What an angel.
Johnny Marr concert.
Wow. Dion Waiters.
Bob also just texted me, please mention how scared I was after you mentioned you drove. All caps. All fucking caps.
That's all very, very valid. That's all very valid.
100%. Had I been sober, I too would have been like, this is a bad idea.
That's funny. That's funny.
I was thinking that like maybe you like the car was parked like in a fine place to be parked and like you ultimately moved it.
Right.
Or like you're like, oh yeah, I moved the car and it's like parked in the middle of the street.
No, I remember very high, parking very slowly in this one spot that I had found, and just like afterwards, getting out of the car instead of just jumping over to the passenger seat, getting out and actually admiring my work. Just being like, fucking get it, dude. This is how you park a car. And then I got to the fucking passenger side.
That reminds me.
And just went to bed.
Our friend Orlando one time got so drunk he drove home.
Oh yes.
And parked his car perpendicular
to the sidewalk,
to the rest
90-degree
of the
angle
cars.
to the sidewalk.
So his dad, who's a cop by the way, wakes him up the next morning and here's all the cars parked in a row, and then here's Orlando's car parked completely perpendicular to the rest of the car. He literally backed into the spot, and his dad's like, "What the fuck were you thinking?" He was just like, look, I backed into the spot. I don't know what you were saying.
I mean, hey, look, he parked it.
He did park it.
It was insane.
For fuck's sake. Anyways, look, Dion Waiters wasn't playing anymore on the Heat. We'll figure. It's a sad story. Who knows what happens? I just want to know who gave it to him. Let's move on to the next topic.
The one thing I will say is they suspended him for an amount of games it's kind of bullshit. They suspended him for the amount of games that like causes him to like miss out on like a bonus.
Sure. Well,
It's a little weak.
it is. It's not cool. He's been a problem since he's gotten there, though. Like his first season, he balled out. Then he got then he got fat.
One of his nicknames is Headache. It says right there.
I see it.
Downhill Dion.
One of his names.
Google me.
One of his nicknames is Kobe Wade, and ain't nobody ever called this dude that.
No,
he
calling that.
He wrote that one in there. That's a Wikipedia page that he created for himself.
He made that nickname for himself.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins for a second. We've said a lot about Andrew Wiggins on this podcast, have had a lot of strong opinions about young Andrew since he started in the league. Many people say he's a waste of talent. He doesn't really care. And he hasn't really panned out as many people have hoped. However, we are now on week 5 of the NBA season, and he is currently averaging 25, 5, and 3.5, shooting 47% from the field and 33% from 3. He has stepped it up on the defensive end, has a very good PER, higher than his career average, and overall has been junior Maple Jordan in a lot of ways.
It's called per his PER. I've always just called it per.
Yes,
efficiency rating. But,
yeah.
Per.
Player efficiency.
Or I just always say his efficiency rating. Or his
That's fair.
Well,
That's
I digress. I'm nitpicking.
In any case, guys, not many players have taken 5 seasons to figure it out. It's happened on a few occasions. The one example that comes to mind is Chauncey Billups. It took him a while. He was in season like season number 7 before he became Chauncey Billups. And it took like 3 teams for him to play on before he became who he was. But then he became a guy who's arguably a Hall of Famer to some extent. Arguably, an argument can be made.
Chauncey Billups belongs in the Hall of Very Good and nowhere else.
I digress. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there have not been very many first-round picks who figured it out later in their career.
Well, for first-round picks, let alone number 1 overall.
First overall.
Totally.
Number 1.
Totally. The question is,
he was number 1.
Is Andrew Wiggins, is this his season? Is this a season where he finally puts it all together? And I just want to pull up his per season numbers here because this is by far his best season of his NBA career thus far. I mean, everything across the board for the most part. I mean, his effective field goal percentage is the highest of his career thus far. His 2-point percentage is the highest of his career thus far. His 3-point percentage is only a few percentage points below. No, I guess he's not shooting as well.
He's right around average.
He's right around where he normally averages. His field goal percentage overall is the highest of his career. He's averaging more blocks than he's ever averaged. His turnovers are a little bit less than his career average. And again, he's got a positive player efficiency rating. Is this the season, guys? Is this the season where young Andrew finally puts it all together?
Ted,
Silence.
I was waiting to see if Nikki was going to say anything.
Oh, I was going to let Tad go. Yeah, Ted, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to say no, and we'll see a regression to the mean. He's still taking a lot of long twos. A lot of pull-up 2-point jumpers. We're 13. He's 13 games in. I don't think so. I think that we will see we'll see. I think we'll see regression.
Sure.
Frankly, like I don't foresee the like efficiency like continuing at the rate that it has been. This is far and away his best statistical season, but like I don't know, if we go back and like look at some of those other years and like we look at splits, like there's a good chance that these were sort of similar numbers maybe he was putting up at one point during the season.
Yeah, like 2 years ago before they got Jimmy, he had a similar start. He definitely teetered off.
Yeah.
That was his 17 point.
I don't again, this I've said this all the time. I don't think the guy really likes playing basketball. And I don't know. I don't think so. If he does put it together, good for him. Happy for him. That's great. That's awesome. Andrew Wiggins, by all accounts, is a super likable dude. He's obviously a pretty talented basketball player, like all things considered.
Exactly.
But I don't think he'll maintain it. And if he does, and if I have to eat those words, well, good, good for him. But that's just, I don't think so.
I agree. Nikki?
Also, Jesus, like, honestly, dude, how are you a fucking guard and you cannot shoot over 70% from the fucking free throw line?
That's bad.
Don't
Yeah,
understand.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand that. I think he's gonna regress just very slightly. I think he'll probably be at like 23, 24, close to what he was in that 16-17 season. I think that those stats are pretty close to what I feel like he's going to do for the rest of the season. But he is playing very well, and Karl Anthony Towns has been playing very well. They both stepped it up a lot, actually.
Yeah, the Minnesota team's
Karl
not
Anthony
bad. I mean,
Towns,
they're not good, but they're not bad.
what are they like?
They're
What are
middle
they
of the
right now?
pack. They're middle of the pack. right
Yeah,
now.
like 7 and 8 or some shit like that. Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, 8 and 8. I mean, they're middle of the pack.
8
They're
and
literally
8.
sitting at 8 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they could potentially make the playoffs. I will say this: like the one positive on the Andrew Wiggins storyline is that he's now playing defense.
True.
Not substantially.
I will grant you that though. The effort is there.
And that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
He's also passing a little bit more. I mean, granted, he did have a couple 0 assist games this season already, which is on par, but he's playing defense, which is the one thing that was the biggest gripe with a lot of guys on his team. And I think there was a little bit of fuel for the listeners who looked at the top 100 players in the NBA. Young Andrew was not on the list, and he took that very personally and said, I think he even tweeted, like, there are not 100 players that are better than me in the NBA. And I you know what? I probably wouldn't have agreed with him last year, but at this point, I think he's probably right on par. I think he's absolutely right. I don't think there's 100 players
stepped it
that
up.
are better than him.
My
Maybe
biggest
75.
My biggest gripe with him is on the offensive side of the ball, at least the defense. The guy I'm about to compare him to. Their defensive similarities are non-existent. But on the offensive side of the ball, he plays too much like Luol Deng.
Yeah, interesting. Because he's not a good dribbler, not a good ball handler.
I just don't. If Andrew Wiggins is your third or fourth option, great. If Andrew Wiggins is your second option and you're banking on him to play the way that he's playing right now, I don't have a lot of hope for you.
I don't know. I think he's been playing well this year, and I'm hoping that this trend of how he's been playing this year can continue throughout the end of the season, because this gets the Minnesota Timberwolves back to that point of like, okay, cool, we can actually bank on Andrew Wiggins and Cat, and we just need one more guy. And then they go out and get their guy. And I genuinely hope that for them, and really for them, because like you're not keeping Cat if you don't figure that shit out. Like he's in season 4 already.
He's
like
out the door.
You got to figure that shit out. Or no, he's in season 5 now. Like you got to figure that shit out. But in any case, I digress. Let's move on to the next topic here. So a couple more topics. We talked about the Clippers a little earlier in the podcast when we talked about the load management. Fortunately, Paul George has returned, and boy, has he returned. His first game back from injury, my man scored 36 points in Kawhi's absence and led the Clippers to a victory, and has since gotten off to a really, really good start on the season. Let's pull up some numbers here, shall we? He's currently averaging 27. He's shooting 48% from the field, 43% from 3, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and thus far continues to play his defensive game. And the shoulder doesn't appear to be bothering him very much in the beginning, or at least thus far into the season. Guys, how big of an impact is this return of Paul George if he can maintain this level of production?
I mean, huge. I want to say something real quick. He's averaging 26. If it's under 5, you round down, bro.
Okay.
I'm not giving the guy 27 points. But either way, obviously it's huge. He's a great defender. He's a great player. He's played super well. I mean, again, he's only played 5 games this season. So is he going to maintain the pace that he's playing at? Probably not, but he played at an MVP level for a pretty good portion of last season.
Totally.
He was in the conversation for a majority of the year. He did kind of peter off a little bit at the end. Peter. But, I digress. I really like Paul George. I've liked Paul George since he got drafted. I liked Paul George when he was at Fresno State. He's a really, really, really good player. And my favorite thing about him is he has gotten continually better since he came into the league. Like every year I feel like has been a step upward throughout his entire career. Yeah. I'm really excited, and that team is really good if they make Kawhi Leonard actually continue to play. But I saw this season right now with Paul George on the floor, they are plus 13 as a team. Which is super impressive, obviously. I mean, plus 13, that's great. So yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy and like he, continues to play at a, honestly, even just a similar, I mean, the guy's shooting 43% from the 3-point line. By all means, we sort of expect that to obviously regress, but maybe not now that he's got another bona fide star and they've got a good roster on that team. Like he can get open looks. Maybe he continues to shoot like a career best from 3-point line. I don't expect it to happen, but if he can shoot like 45% from, the floor while shooting, maybe 40% from 3, then he's obviously all NBA. He's not in the MVP conversation, but he makes that team significant. I mean, they're a contender if he can continue to play like that. And obviously Kawhi plays at the level that we expect him to.
I mean, arguably they're the undeniable contender in the entirety of the NBA. If you can maintain even a fraction of this production plus Kawhi, like it's hard to imagine a league where these two guys are playing at that level plus the rest of the supporting cast. Like they're deep. And Landry Shamet.
Yeah, that seems good.
Like Landry Shamet's been hurt and they're deep and they're still at the top of the Western Conference. Like it's hard to imagine a world where the Clippers don't win the finals with this team.
Yeah, what are they right now? They got 11-5. Yeah, 11-5.
They're tied for third right now.
Tied for third. Yeah, it's not terrible. They're playing very well. They clearly are playing better when Kawhi Leonard's on the floor.
But when he's not, Paul George picked up the slack and they won those games.
Yes, now they have because I think they're 2-3 when Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, and the 2 wins are both games where Paul George did play.
Yeah, it's big. It's big for them. I mean, it's obvious.
You know what? I want to say this though. Like, I agree. They're obviously really, really, really fucking good, but I don't know that you could say like with the two of them that they're the undisputed championship contender. Like the league this year for the first time in years. There's so much parity. I don't know that I wouldn't confidently say that they beat the Celtics in 7 games. I wouldn't confidently say that they beat the 76ers in 7 games. I wouldn't confidently say that they beat the Lakers in 7 games. Or the Rockets.
Man, I don't know, dude.
Could they? Yeah, sure. And would I probably lean that way? Right. But it's not like, last year when like the Warriors the last several years were the undisputed championship contender. These guys are good, but there are other teams that have maybe not quite as many weapons, but still good enough to beat these guys. I'm not gonna agree with you there, but I will obviously admit that yes, they're very fucking good.
They're
awesome.
Very, very good.
They're awesome. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. We're gonna talk about Kristaps Porzingis, guys. Kristaps Porzingis, a couple weeks ago, returned back to New York. First game back since being traded, and was welcomed with many boos. Many boos.
Many boos.
And they did, in fact, lose that game. They lost that game on a play that some might say was probably not the best use of Kristaps Porzingis' talent. They had him on the block for the final shot of the game. It is what it is. It's not really his skill set, but he's been okay this year. He's not bad. He's still figuring it out with Luka. It's 18.9, 1.5, 40.7, 36.8. Anyways, this is not to talk about Kristaps. This is more actually to talk about the Knicks, who last week, their front office held a conference. Held a oh my god, what's the word?
A meeting?
Not a meeting. Public
press conference.
Thank you. My brain.
Okay.
My brain was farting. They held a press conference to basically tell the fans, "We're sorry. This season is not going as expected." Shocker. And
what were they expecting?
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm not shooting you. I'm asking that maybe you might have some insight into what the Knicks front office expected with
sure.
roughly $70 million into 3 power forwards.
Hey, amen, brother. And we all talked about it. We all talked about it during the offseason. We're just like within and mind you, to Tad's point, they signed all those guys within like 48 hours, like very short order. They made all their signings. Julius Randle has not been good this season. Marcus Morris has been solid. Fucking who else did they bring on? Bobby Portis has been
Taj Gibson.
Okay. Taj is not. He's not gonna move the needle.
Taj Giblets.
I mean, way to bring it back. Wayne Ellington, blah. Like this team's not good. The only bright spot on the team right now is RJ Barrett is really good. RJ Barrett is good.
Yeah.
The rest of this team is bad. Oh, and Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson's pretty solid. The rest of this team is bad.
Has Kevin Knox been okay? I feel like they haven't put him in very much.
He's been fine, but like he's not like what they were hoping for in year 2. He's better than he was last year.
I will say, I would like to remind you guys that this team beat the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
It's one of their. I think it's one of their 4 wins.
Correct. Yeah, one of them was against the Chicago Bulls. Yeah.
And 2 of them were against the Mavericks.
That's true. That's true.
Twice.
They just going at Kristaps.
They really want to beat Kristaps.
They're not good.
Yeah, they're awful.
We all said it though. I said it when the season started. I said this team is worse than the Cleveland Cavaliers, no question. And
it's close.
It's not. It's not. This team is an abomination. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers have had some guys. Listen, you laughed at me when I said that they had NBA players like Tristan Thompson, and Tristan Thompson is having a career year. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. A career year. What?
I'm just saying.
When does Tristan Thompson's contract expire?
But that's not the point. He's having a career year. That's the point I'm trying to make.
It's this year. It's this year.
Colin Sexton has also been playing really well for them.
Yeah, man. He's having a fucking career year, and it has really paid dividends in the win column. 5-11.
They're better than the Knicks. They're better than the Knicks.
1.5 points per game.
I would say that they are marginally better than them. No, more than marginally. So I would say they are definitely better than the Knicks. I stand by my previous.
The amount that the Cavaliers are better than the Knicks can be measured by the edge of a credit card.
must be a Chase Sapphire super thick credit card maybe. But I tell you what. Anyways, I digress. We're not talking about the Cavaliers. We're talking about the Knicks. They're terrible. Their front office continues to be terrible. And at this point, they not so directly said that David Fizdale is on thin ice, if not 1 foot out the door already. They're already planning on replacing him. Guys, is this Fizdale's fault? What, no. Is he gonna make it through the season?
Did he decide to pay 3 power forwards roughly the equivalent of $70 million this season?
I agree.
I'm curious. I agree. He didn't. You're right.
It's terrible that they scapegoated him.
Before we get into that, I want to say one thing. More egregious than perhaps the fact that the Knicks are potentially going to fire David Fizdale is the fact that Tristan Thompson has 4 fucking names. Tristan, Trevor, James, Thompson. Why? Why have 4?
Regal. He's regal. Okay.
Regal.
Is Tristan Thompson Canadian?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
A lot of people got excited about that.
Do me one quick favor. Who's this dude in the yellow jersey right here?
Great question. Any guesses?
No.
Xavier Henry.
That is a name I have not thought of. Years.
What a flop of an NBA player. Just an absolute. He was like the number 1 rated player in high school. Went to Kansas, kind of ate shit, got drafted after his freshman year, and just nothing. Just nothing.
Kansas players are historically very bad in the NBA.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Pierce and Joel Embiid
many.
would argue, but
yes, but like
Mario Chalmers.
For a team that Mario Chalmers was a good player.
Mario Chalmers
played with LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh and won some rings.
Yeah.
Starting point.
Mario Chalmers was not a good NBA player.
Rayful France. Sign him up.
Hey, you know where Rayful France is from?
Is he from Iowa? Oh,
you goddamn right he is.
I had no idea.
You goddamn right, boy. I met him one time, actually. He's a super nice guy. Fun fact, Rafe LaFrance dunked a golf ball when he was in 5th grade.
That is a fun fact.
That's wild.
A very fun fact.
He's a very tall man.
Yeah, I would imagine. All right. Well, the Knicks sucks. They let's stop talking about them. However, let's talk about one of their long storied players, who is now with the Portland Trailblazers. Guys, Carmelo Anthony is back in the NBA, boys. He is back in the NBA. He signed with the Portland Trailblazers 2 weeks ago, and he's played 3 games this far. He's played three games this far. How excited are you guys to have Hoodie Melo back in the league?
I'm so pumped to have Sweet Melon back in the league. That is not his nickname. Nobody has ever called him that. Why is that on?
Sweet Melon.
So bad.
Dude, I love me some Carmelo. And boy, your man's looking thick.
He's a little thick. He's always been doughy. He's always been doughy. He's always been doughy. Always.
I mean, Carmelo is doing what you kind of expected him to do. He's shooting under 40%. He's taking a lot of shots. His efficiency is fucking terrible. He is most certainly not the answer for the Portland Trailblazers, but I'm guessing they probably sold a few more tickets to those first few games he was playing in.
Yeah. I will say this. Look, he's always been a gunner, but the Trailblazers are bad. They've had a lot of injuries to start the season. Dame's down right now. Like they've been bad, and they needed somebody to carry some sort of scoring load in his absence, and even when he gets back, because Kent Bazemore just wasn't doing it. And look, I think that this might be shooting for the stars, but if he can give you 14 points. That's what you need out of your secondary power forward. I mean, this is a team that was starting Mario Hezonja at the 4. Like, this team was desperate for literally anybody to play.
Mario Hezonja sucks.
He does. Sucks. And that's my point exactly. I'm very excited to have Melo back. I think that this is exactly what Portland needed. They needed a little bit of a jolt of something, and he's giving it to them. So, fuck it, dude. Let's just see where it goes.
Can you scroll down?
Yeah, of course.
Let's go. Keep going.
Yeah, he's been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, just as long as LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Dwayne Wade, but you know what I mean. I just want to see his.
It's just him and Kyle Korver.
I want to see his individual game numbers from this. Oh, we got game logs up top.
Game logs.
Where is that? There it is.
Up top.
Up top, bud. And click on the season. Bam. Good to go.
Let's see some game logs. Bring him up.
Damn,
He
scores a lot.
Your boy's got 5% battery. I need 1 minute. I gotta go plug this bitch in.
All right,
go for it. Let's look at his game logs while he does that.
That's cool. I just paused.
Crap. C does not use.
Oh, you paused?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Oof, okay, I can do this.
What you got?
My throat, dude.
Oh, your throat? Yeah, your throat. Yeah. But the Manuka honey shit does work well.
Oh, fucking crushed. Absolutely crushed.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pull up see what the scores are right now for NBA games. Is there anyone playing? Right? Yeah. Clippers are up 84-78 against the Pelicans. No surprise there.
All right. Let us know when you're ready. I paused the recording, so.
Oh, I was hoping that my chewing would get on there.
No. Definitely not.
So, a fun fact: I don't have a. Excuse me. I don't have a desk chair for my desk. I'm sitting on an ottoman right now.
It's not ideal.
I'm sitting on a yoga ball.
That's why it was so hard for me to get out of my seat. Okay, cool. Scroll down so we can see this.
All right, hold on. 3, 2, 1. All right, we got game logs. Game log.
Let me see them. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Let me see them numbers.
Oh, 3 L's. Not good.
He's not the 29%.
Well, Yeah, I mean that's good. He shouldn't be. Boy,
he's doing what he's got to do. He dropped 18 and 7 in his second game. He's 3 games into a brand new offense on a team that he's never played for, with a bunch of dudes that he's never played with. Give it some time, Killers.
Okay, now hold on. Quick question, because you said, speaking of like storied Knicks players, is that so? Do we affiliate Carmelo with the Knicks more than we do with the Nuggets?
Man, I don't know, dude. I think he played for the Nuggets for like one more season.
He did, and he also had more success in Denver than he did in New York. So
just a pinch more.
I mean that team was like one game away from going to a conference finals.
Sure, one time.
I mean,
one time.
Yeah, farther than he ever made it with the Knicks.
Totally. I'm just saying marginal. Like in terms of playoff success, like I always marginal at best.
I always think about the fact that he forced that trade.
Yep.
To New York.
So dumb.
And had he not done that, how different his career with New York could have been.
Well, he would have. Yeah, go ahead.
They would have had the cap space to sign him outright, and they wouldn't have had to give up. Like they traded all of their talent away to get him.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also think about how different his career in New York could have potentially been had
he not done that.
And also had Amari Stoudemire not
True.
had all the injury problems.
Injuries. True.
I mean, so let's just look at numbers here, because this was an argument that I heard on a podcast recently, which made a lot of sense to me. So he played one more season in Denver, but his numbers are nearly identical. I mean, 24.8 in Denver, 24.7 points per game in New York. 7 rebounds a game in New York, 6.3 in Denver. Shot 30. He shot much better.
He was more efficient.
Yeah, he was. There's a case to be made that he was better in New York. I mean, there's a case to be made there. I mean, points wise,
he was more efficient in Denver.
About
the same amount.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but when he retires, what's he retiring as?
A Nick. I mean, he'll retire.
He'll be more famous than Nick. Yeah,
I agree. Look, man, it's been 3 games. I'm just happy that Melo's back. I think that the way he got by the Houston Rockets last year and was basically the scapegoat was totally fucked. None of that was his fault. Their entire defense was shit. It had nothing to do with him, and they basically just like played him out of there. I'm glad he's back. All right, last topic of the night, and then we'll wrap up for today. It feels like we won't stop talking about our man Luka, but Jesus. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 2 40-point triple-doubles. My man is averaging a 29-point triple-double nearly right now. He's like 29, 9, and 9. It is stupid how well he's playing this year. Oh, now he's up to 30.6, 10, and 9.8.
Yeah.
He is putting up historic numbers. No one.
He scored he had 41 again tonight.
That's what I'm saying. No one has ever put up this good of numbers in their second season. Not even LeBron James. Now it's very early on, so we shall see. As we talked about with Andrew Wiggins, I'm sure he'll return to the mean. But he's already.
I don't think he'll regress to the mean.
We saw
glimpses of this last season.
Yeah, this might be close to what he just does now.
He's unguardable.
I agree.
You legitimately.
He has been amazing.
I agree. And this team, and we were talking about Kristaps a little bit earlier, but he's putting up these numbers. Luka, that is. He's putting up these numbers, and he's not even shooting well from 3 right now. Like he's shooting like 35%.
He is in his second season, and he is leading the league in efficiency.
It's crazy. I mean, the man he's incredible.
He has an efficiency rating similar to like what we saw through like the primest of prime LeBron years.
Totally.
I mean, the numbers that he is putting up right now, they're legitimately LeBron numbers.
They really are.
Yeah,
across the board.
Unbelievable.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed.
Can he win Most Improved Player?
Oh yes, easily.
Right, because he might do that with those numbers.
What I would love is for him to win Most Improved and MVP.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you win MVP, you are obviously also
By
the most
default.
improved
By default.
player
Yeah.
by default.
It
So
feels
I
like
would
it feels
love
like the type of season where we're just going to keep talking about him. I mean, because what he's doing is incredible. Just
Yeah,
incredible.
he's playing very well.
My big concern for him, quite frankly, is fatigue as the season goes on.
Sure.
And I'll tell you why. He's in his second year, and that could cause obviously the regression. When I say I don't see a regression, I think his numbers will probably tick down a little bit. I think that's probably pretty likely.
Right.
What I'm saying is I think he'll still have great numbers, and we'll continue to see him put up great numbers every single year of his career for as long as he graces us with his presence in the NBA. But I am hugely concerned about fatigue and conditioning and that sort of thing, because the Euros don't really believe in that. They don't believe in conditioning training and all that stuff. So there's a reason for concern, but I don't think it's I'm not terribly concerned by it, but that is the one thing that gives me a little bit of pause.
And the one thing I guess on the opposite side of that gives me some hope is that he did take his health and fitness very serious in the offseason. He is noticeably leaner and he is in noticeably better shape. Him and Kristaps working out together a lot this offseason. And I agree that traditionally it's not necessarily valued on the European end. It's just not really big in that league, but he's young. He's been exposed to this for quite some time now. He's been a professional for quite some time now. And I was inclined to agree with you, but he did take his shit serious this offseason. And if it shows, granted, he could have a third-year slump where it's just yo, I'm killing the league. I don't have to get as buff this year as I do normally. But he definitely got his shit together because he was doughy as fuck when he got drafted.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah. He's a doughy boy.
He is, though. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast today, and he and Mark Stein were basically saying, if Larry Bird was born again and played in the NBA, he would play exactly how Luka's playing right now. Same style of basketball, passer. He wasn't as good of a ball handler as Luka, but, there's a case to be made that had he been playing right now, his ball handling would be better. But shooting, passing, playmaking, literally everything he does is very reminiscent.
Diving.
Everything. Diving, dipping, dodging, all the things. He's very reminiscent of a Larry Bird-esque type player. I mean, he really
and I love to hear you put some respect on Larry's name. I got in an argument with this on the sports Slack channel at work. People were fucking bad-mouthing Larry Legend. I was like, I have no time for this.
I won't have it.
let me put y'all in your place. Dude, Larry Bird could easily play in today's league or today's game the way he played back then. But you imagine Larry Bird at 22 years old now, if he was growing up and had turned 22 this year, right. Yes, I completely agree. Would play very similar to Luka. I really love. I honestly have considered getting a jersey or a shirtsy at minimum. I'm not even a Mavericks fan.
I'm gonna say this. He's been playing.
Fun to watch.
Oh my god! And Kristaps hasn't even been that good yet. He's been fine, but he hasn't even been.
He had a big game tonight.
He did.
He's 10 of 17 with 28 points or something.
And this is what I'm trying to say is if those two and Rick Carlisle can situate them in this really fun pick and roll at the top of the key type game where Kristaps is basically his counterpart in a way where let Luka drive because he's going to do that, but he will find you and you get your shots. If they can find that two-man game, for fuck's sake, man, they just need one more guy and that team is going to be dangerous. If you could bring a guy.
One more guy. They got Tim Hardaway Jr.
No.
He's been playing well.
He's
been
not
playing well, though, yeah.
Not the third guy.
But he's not the third guy, no.
They would be better off with a Jaylen Brown type or a Bradley Beal type. Someone of that ilk who can also stretch the floor and defend. Man, dude. And here's the thing. Luka is the type of player that other players want to play with. And if he makes the All-Star team this year, which, he's going to be around a lot of these other guys who could potentially be suitors to play with him in the coming years in their pending free agency. It's very, very exciting for that team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Dope.
They are, I just want to say, I said this before we started recording, but I just want to say that look, man, I said on this very podcast, we can check the tape.
You did.
Luka Doncic, MVP, and it was a hot take at the time, but I don't think it's that hot now.
You got me.
But
Cool, guys. Well,
you spit in my face. And
I did. I laughed. Some might even say I scoffed. It's my thing.
You did.
it is your thing, yeah.
I did. Well, listen, guys.
Did you see that? Did you see they asked him why they thought they asked Luka why their defense how their defense improved so much this season? And he laughed and said it's because we don't have to cover for Dirk anymore.
Did you guys see the other night when the fans were rooting for JJ Barea to come in the game? He was just like sitting there. He like ran the scoring table and came back. Oh my god, I love that shit.
He should have checked in.
He should have checked in. I'm like, Rick.
Yeah.
Take a seat. Well, shit, guys. It's been 2 weeks. We finally did it. We're back at it. Anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up today?
I have one thing, and this is to piggyback back on the Knicks stuff we were talking about. During the Knicks game today, oh no, I can't think of Richard Jefferson said that he knew it was time to retire when the New York Knicks offered him a contract.
Wait, who said that?
Richard Jefferson. He said that he knew he had to retire when the New York Knicks offered him a contract to play.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
He said that during the broadcast tonight.
That's funny.
And I think that is a perfect way to describe the Knicks.
And a perfect way to close out the episode. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for that. Cool, guys. Well, let's plug and let's wrap this thing up.
So 2 things real quick before I plug. The second thing is me plugging, but one thing. On February 6th, the New Orleans Pelicans play, and in Chicago, Jay, we should look into going. I would really like to see JJ play again.
And rumors are that Zion's coming back.
He is 35 years old, so I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to get to see my boy play. So I'd like to go to that game, so we'll talk offline. And then number 2, you can follow me on Twitter at @tadhall_. That is, or at @tadhall_.
There it is. Nikki, plug away.
You can follow me at Nikki Palooza.
All right. You can follow me at J_Keelas on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Not Facebook. You can follow NBA, though, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at NBA Pod. Please don't forget to give the podcast a 5-star rating and review. We greatly appreciate it. It helps put up in the ratings. All right. Well, for Tad, for Nikki, for Jay, this has been NBA. We're out.
Yeah, gang.
Bye.
I forgot how it ended.
I did.
That's terrible. Bye.
I didn't care for that.
Oh,